Gina Loudon and Christopher Hahn here with me. And Gina, what's your reaction to Trump's need suddenly to advertise in a state like New Hampshire, in a state like South Carolina, in a state like Iowa? Why now?
I think probably because he can, and I think he likes leading. I think he likes being in that number one plum spot there, and I think he wants to maintain that lead, and he doesn't want to fluctuate much and give anybody a little bit of a leg up and take a chance that might stick. So I think he's going to continue to advertise.
Will they
and the reality is that.
Do you think they'll matter? I mean, do the radio ads make a difference, Gina?
I honestly think they probably do. I mean, we've watched other candidates as they've started their ad campaigns slowly start to climb up a little bit in the polls. So, yeah, I think it's probably a smart idea. If Donald wants to stay on top, he's got to put a buck in.
Hey, and Christopher Hahn, it's only going to cost him $300,000. No big deal.
Hey, it's a bargain for him. And look, he is not getting as much free media as he was getting over the summer. Now it's the fall, it's big time money time, and people aren't covering him as much. Let's face it, the other candidates are making noise. He's got to stay out there with his own campaign and his own ads, and all the candidates are. Look, we're getting towards crunch time now. Things are starting to shape up. People are actually deciding who they're going to vote for. We're entering the scrutiny phase of these candidates where people are going to start making up their minds and scrutinizing their records. And if you want to stay on top, you got to tell your story and not let somebody else dictate the debate.
Well, he's going to do part of that on SNL, of course, this weekend.
Yeah.
Saturday Night Live, where he will be hosting. We've already seen some pushback, though. I think we have a statement we can share with you from the Hispanic caucus that is demanding that he back off here, or rather the NBC back off. They don't want NBC putting on Donald Trump as a host for Saturday Night Live. Gina, look, I mean, NBC has an entertainment show. It's a capitalist organization like anything else. Do you think that this has any legs? Do you think that NBC is going to back down in the face of the outrage in the Hispanic community?
I think it's almost comical because there are a lot of Hispanics who are big fans of Donald Trump. I live in a largely Hispanic area here in San Diego, and I can tell you that a lot of them really like what Donald Trump is doing and saying. And so these more militant groups that tend to say they want to speak for the entire community, I think are getting to be more and more offensive to the actual citizens that are part of that community that aren't being spoken for by their lobbying groups.
Speaking about being offensive, let me share with you a new video that has exploded online. It's gone viral. And these are some Hispanic kids, some Latino kids, who were trying to hit back on Trump and doing so in not a very becoming way. We had to bleep out some of the language here. Let me show you.
Wow.
This is my home.
You can't take my rights away.
If you don't like our Constitution and what it stands for, get the out of my country.
There's the door.
Yeah, I don't like that. I mean, those are kids.
Wow.
I mean, we're laughing saying it's fine. Chris,
well,
I don't like it. They're kids. They shouldn't talk like that.
Yeah. Well,
and that's crossing a line.
Well, they're not
an
really
adult was
talking like
behind
that. They're not really talking like that. That's an old stunt in comedy where you make it sound like kids are cursing. They're not really cursing. So let's be clear there. And quite frankly, I think it's a very effective ad.
We actually had to bleep it out. So, I don't like the idea of an adult with a political agenda putting up kids to say stuff like that, Gina.
Yeah, I think we need to take a long, hard look at who those parents are that would subject their children, really use their children like pawns in their own personal political agenda. I think it's absolutely mortifying that a parent would do that to a child.
You know what? The language thing in this country, I think we're way too sensitive about it. We'd let those same kids watch movies where people are getting their head shot off and nobody would care about it.
Well, they
one bad word and everybody's worked out.
I agree with you, Chris. I think that, you know what? There is something extraordinarily special about being a child. And as a society, we need to protect that. And that means no bad movies and no bad language. And we owe it to our children. And you are right. Something is being lost when kids know language like that and they see the things that they see today, Chris.
Well, we also have to protect kids' right to be kids in America. Those kids were born here. This is the only country they ever known. And thank God they have a place like this where we'll take them in, give them an education. And what is being said to them by Donald Trump deserves an offensive response because it is offensive to those kids.
That's not true.
Imagine being those kids Imagine being those kids and having to hear this.
Go ahead, Gina.
Imagine being the little American kid that just doesn't want to be the next person shot in a sanctuary city, right? Imagine that person. Imagine the family of those who've been killed by illegals that are here. And that's exactly the reason Trump has taken the strong positions he has, Chris.
We're talking about Donald Trump's
we're talking about what those children said in that video. They said that whoever disagrees with them should go to another country. I'm sorry, that's where I draw the line. The American citizens in this country that earned their legal citizenship should have that right.
Guys, we got more stuff to get to. I apologize for cutting you off, but because we got a lot of news going on right now. This is very much an issue that's going to continue to remain in focus, though I will take the last word on that and say it is never acceptable to put a video out like that of kids exploiting children for your political use. Anyway, Gina, Chris, stick with me. Do not miss, everyone. Senator Ted Cruz, he's going to be joining me here on the Intelligence Report tomorrow. The presidential candidate's going to be here on Intel at 2 p.m. Eastern, only on Fox Business. And the Fox Business debate, it's less than a week away. I'm going to be there out in Milwaukee with Sandra Smith, Maria Bartiromo, Neil Cavuto. We are asking the substantive questions, the things that need to be talked about regarding our economy. It starts at 6 p.m. Eastern next Tuesday, only right here on Fox Business. Find out which candidates are going to be on the stage tonight when the lineups are announced right here exclusively, 7 p.m. Eastern on Lou Dobbs Tonight. And here we are, just about 55 minutes away, I should point out, from the socialist, Bernie Sanders, making it official in the Granite State. He is expected to file to get his name included on the New Hampshire primary ballot. He's also, for the first time, taken off his gloves to go against his competitor, Hillary Clinton. Funny how people keep changing their tunes, right? We're just talking about Donald Trump. Suddenly he's advertising after he said he wouldn't. And then, of course, Bernie Sanders, remember this?
The American people are sick and tired of hearing about your damn emails.
Thank you. Me too.
But today, new comments of the Wall Street Journal show that Bernie, he's not playing Mr. Nice Guy anymore. Gina Loudon, Christopher Hahn here. Okay, here's what he says, guys. And I'm going through the Wall Street Journal report, and I quote, regarding those emails, let the investigation proceed unheeded. Okay, so he wants that to continue. He wants that investigation to go on. He also kind of stuck it to her when it comes to the issue of all her Wall Street money, saying, quote, people should be suspect of candidates who receive large sums of money from Wall Street and then go out and say, trust me, I'm really going to regulate Wall Street. All right, Chris Hahn, what happened to the guy who was out there on stage for the last debate with CNN defending Mrs. Clinton?
Well, he's losing. And when you're losing, you've got to change direction, right? He likes talking about how Hillary flip-flops. Well, he flip-flopped on whether or not he's a Democrat or not, right? I mean, he rejected Democratic Party lines when he ran for United States Senate and when he ran for Congress. Yeah, now he's a Democrat. He's going to show up and say, I want to run in a Democratic primary. Look, he's losing. And when you're losing, you've got to change tactics.
Chris,
these tactics are not going to work.
It's an important point. He has run into a few issues, actually, in New Hampshire, because they needed to see proof that he really was a Democrat before they could put him on the Democratic ballot. It looks like it's going to go through. We've made some calls, the Intel team, to verify that. And just as I said, about 50 minutes from now, he will be announcing his candidacy there officially on the ballot in New Hampshire. But you bring up an important point. I mean, who is he really? And by the way, Chris, I'll ask you, since you're on the liberal side of things, what is the real difference between a Democrat and a socialist?
Well, I think Democrats want to work within the system to make it better, the same way conservatives and the same way Republicans do. I think socialists might want to have a complete full-scale change of the system. When he says he wants a revolution, that scares me. I believe in incremental change. That's what our Constitution laid out for us, and I think most Democrats feel the same way. We want to move things to the left, but we want to do it incrementally over time in a way that can make everybody prosper in America, and we do believe in a capitalist system. We don't believe it should be untethered, but we do believe that we should have a capitalist system in America.
Yeah, you say that, but yet you want to tax anybody who is prospering. I mean, Gina, that's when you look at the plans that the Democrats have put forward, and even, frankly, some Republicans. I mean, you see these progressive systems of income tax where it effectively, I wonder if it's really being true to American values when it's penalizing work and it's penalizing prosperity.
You're absolutely right, Trish, and that is such an important point in this particular election that you just made, because what we're seeing is that you can't tell the difference, at least I can't, between the Democrat establishment, the Republican establishment. The interesting thing that the Democrats should stop and take note of is they created the Bernie Sanders of the world. He's the anti-establishment candidate. He is only the voice for those Democrats who feel completely pushed aside and marginalized in every presidential race and every nomination in recent history, because they'll tolerate no dissent, Trish. This is the problem. The establishment in Washington, D.C. in both parties is getting exactly what they asked for, and Bernie Sanders is the answer to that.
Yeah, no, I mean, it may be, Donald Trump on the Republican side, Ben Carson, a lot of their support stems from the fact that people are frustrated, and it's a similar story there for the Democratic Party. Gina and Chris, great to see you guys.
Great
Great
to see you,
Trish. Thanks.
All right, we've got some new information, everyone.